Just because I'm not published yet doesn't mean I'm not an author, damn it. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Last year, as my first ever video on this channel, I did the BookTube Newbie Tag. So I feel like it's about time I do the AuthorTube Newbie Tag. Especially since next week is my 1 year anniversary on this platform. And over the past year, I have mostly done BookTube style content on this channel. I've mostly been talking about books, published books, books that I've read, me as a reader, etc. All I've done regarding my writing and me being an author, an unpublished author, is just some updates on how the writing's currently going, poorly, and just some stuff about like my writing schedule and how I kind of plan my time, poorly, and that's about it. I really didn't want to dive too much into my writing stuff. I don't really want to give advice about writing because I don't think I'm really in the right position to be doing that. What I do want to do is kind of document the process of me writing this manuscript, editing it, and then looking for agents, looking for publishers, kind of vlogging the experience and like taking you along for the journey. I really like it when other people do that. I like to see their journeys, especially when it goes well, and then it gives me a lot of inspiration and hope, and also when there's something to learn from their experience as well. So that's what I'm planning on doing, and I will probably be upping the kind of AuthorTube content over the next year as I start to make a bit more progress towards finishing the draft. And so this is just my introduction into doing that kind of content as well as my reading content. I will start off by saying, and I would appreciate your thoughts on this as a viewer, but I do feel like slightly nervous about mixing the kind of reader reviewer aspect of me with the writer aspect, because I feel like, you know, as someone that wants to be a writer and wants to be in that space, wants to necessarily be successful, critiquing other successful authors, you know, who could potentially be future colleagues if things went super well, feels a bit icky. Like, what if I say something quite offensive, a negative review, and then go on to meet that person? Now that's quite unrealistic because I'm probably not going to be that successful, let's be honest, but it does feel like a bit of a treacherous area. I also see a lot of comments about people not wanting writers in their readers reviewing kind of spaces. Like, reviews aren't really for the writers, they're for the readers and helping readers find books that are for them. Not necessarily like critiquing that author and giving them like feedback, proper critiques as such. And so it's a little bit of a weird line to tread. I think there's a reason why most people keep their reading and reviewing content very separate from their writing and author platform content. Like, I can sit here and slate like something like catabasis, and then go on to write a book that's worse than it. I'm like perfectly aware of that. And I don't want it to seem like me critiquing books that I've read is me going, oh well, I could do that better. Even if I do make suggestions of how I might do it, I just have a different style or maybe a different goal for what I'm writing than someone like R.F. Kuang might have for writing catabasis. But I do have some concerns about how it will be construed. I don't think it's a problem right now because I'm not published, I'm not successful, I'm like very much in the trenches, like I'm very much just a normal person. And there are other creators that do this, like with Cindy, she reviews, she absolutely slates books. She slated all of the ACOTAR series much more harshly than I did. And she also has like writing vlogs and wants to publish a book as well. So I do think there's space for both. And there's also loads of YouTubers that don't even talk about books that go on to publish books. So like, I don't really know how I feel about it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts and whether you think this is a good idea or not. Because I don't have enough content to talk about writing every week, especially if I'm not going to do advice, which I'm not. I might do occasionally, but I mean, take it with a pinch of salt, personally. And if I give advice, it's probably not going to be like my personal advice. It's probably going to be advice that I've read about in other books, in articles, from like legitimate sources, not from like me as the source. So yeah, in order for me to talk about all things books, I do just need to talk about reading and reviewing the books that I've read, as well as just putting out stuff about my own project, which at the moment is going very slowly, in large part because of the time I'm spending doing this. But anyway, bit of a ramble. Just let me know your thoughts. I want to like foresee any like mistakes or ways this could go wrong and like hopefully solve that problem before it becomes a problem. Without further ado, let's just get into the tag and I'll shut up a little bit. Well, I'll talk about these things instead of whatever's going on in my brain. So question one is, what is your book's pitch. And I don't know if this means elevator pitch or just like general pitch. I'm not going to do an elevator pitch. That should be like 1 or 2 sentences. And honestly, I have written one, but I feel like it is like even too short. And I know it's supposed to be short, and that's the point of an elevator pitch. But I'm going to expand just a little bit. Maybe give me like a paragraph. So the book I'm currently writing, I'm currently on like 62,000 words. It's probably going to be 120,000 words. So I'm just over halfway through. It could be anywhere between 100,000 and 120. It is a new adult, post-apocalyptic / dystopian romance. It's written in the first person perspective and it's dual POV. We've got a female character and a male character, and they are placed in an arranged marriage. Trouble is, one of them is a rebellious skeptic and the other is pretty brainwashed and like a true believer in this society that they're living. It's set in post-apocalyptic America, but the society I've crafted is very much like Nazi Germany, North Korea. It's just a totalitarian dictatorship. However, it's structured kind of like a science experiment, and the dictator is like this great scientist. Of course, he isn't. He is a fraud, and everyone in the society thinks they're living as part of some big experiment. They think that he's watching their every move, he's judging them, and then he's placing them in like different life roles based on like how well they're doing, how well they're reforming, because the whole premise of this society is that like the world has gone to shit basically. Climate change, which led to drastic changes in how society was structured, war, everything you can imagine that would happen when we start to have societal collapse. And this dictator, his like whole doctrine is that he blames humanity for this happening because like we're just selfish, we're all of these bad things, we're like narcissistic and we're materialistic, and we are why this has happened. Like this was just always going to happen based on our like very human flaws. And so he's designed this experiment to try and reform us and make us into better people. And there's like kind of a eugenics aspect of it. That's why there's this arranged marriage, which breeding is kind of the goal of. A little bit Handmaid's Tale vibes, because he's trying to like breed the good people and like punish the bad people just out of existence. Like hopefully they'll die off. He's almost trying to bring about, you know, he's breeding the perfect person, the perfect society. And our main female character, Ember, she believes that this is all legit. I mean, how could she not? Because she's been born into this, she's been raised this way. This isn't a society that has free speech, and she's not very educated. They keep the people very uneducated. They learn specific things. They learn not to question the scientists because like what they say is just correct and we should never challenge it, even though that goes against the whole premise of science. So science is like about being skeptical, and it's about asking questions and challenging people, even if they're like above you, even if they're more powerful, more educated. You can still challenge the science so long as you've, you know, got logic and data to back you up. That's good, that's healthy. Free speech, having a healthy dialogue, this is all important to a functional society. But she doesn't believe in any of these things because like that's just how she's been brought up, and the world is very harsh. It's been kind of designed that way, and she's quite a traumatized person, and in order to just survive in this quite miserable life, she has to believe in this. Like without that belief, everything comes crumbling down, and it gives her quite an identity crisis. So it's very important to her to believe in all of this. And our male character, he was born with skeptical parents. They kind of taught him about the world, they taught him the truth about the world. They collected books and manuscripts, things that are banned, things that are kind of routinely burned, very Nazi Germany style. And he's been like secretly educating himself beyond what is normal for the society. So he's skeptical, he has a rebellious streak, but he's not really exercised yet. He likes the idea of rebellion, but he doesn't really have any real world experience or know how that will go beyond what he's read in books. And you know, a lot of what he reads in books is like historical, it's written by the victors, or it's fiction, and things work out nicely in fiction. So, you know, potentially he's a little bit naive and he doesn't have anyone to discuss these things with because his parents are no longer with us, and so he's very alone, and like he thinks he sees the world as it really is, and like no one else does, and no one is allowed to voice it even if they do see the flaws in the system. So he's like, surely more people are skeptical, surely they are. And he thinks like when he meets this person that he gets married to, they'll be behind closed doors, maybe he'll discover that like she is skeptical too. But that isn't what happens. Yeah, they couldn't be on board different planes. They couldn't disagree more and have such a different worldview. And well, I've said it's a romance. It's kind of, you know, they start off as rivals. Not rivals, but, you know, they're not natural enemies. But yeah, it's complicated. You'll have to read it when it comes out to learn more context. But you know, it poses a question of, can these two people like learn to get along and put aside their differences? How is this going to work out? So there you go. This was a very long pitch. It was in no way an elevator pitch, and I need to work on like getting it shorter. But basically, skeptic marries a rebel within a totalitarian regime. Chaos ensues. Will they learn to get along? We shall see. Second question is to like pitch myself if I was a book. I don't know what they mean by like if I was a book, like, you know, setting up a premise for like, oh, what will happen. I think this just means introduce yourself. Am I just like taking the question too literally? I do that sometimes. I'm like, analyze every word of the question, like, what do they mean by analyze? What do you mean by pitch this? Pitch yourself. But I'll just pitch myself as an about me section, I suppose. So I'm Corinne. In the words of Jenna Marbles, I am a 32-year-old lady. I make weekly videos about books I'm reading mainly. I might expand into some other topics, book-related topics that aren't just about books, but for now, that's what I'm doing. I'm Scottish. I live in England. I have a horse, had her for 19 years. It's very, very much a long term, like, that's basically a marriage, 19 years. We basically grew up together, got her when I was 13. She is extremely important to me. In day-to-day life, I am an equine behaviourist, work for a big charity, work with horses, donkeys, mules, all of the equines. I basically like analyse their behaviour, mainly the problems, try to like figure out why they have these problems, what the underlying cause might be, and create a plan, not just a training plan for retraining a new response, but also looking at like how can we improve their welfare and their environment and the handling of the, you know, the people, and just everything, obviously with kind of vet referral, because the vets will look at all of the underlying medical causes of the behaviour. And then I coach their owners or the people working with the horses or the donkeys or whatever in training and basically help them overcome their own problems. Like, I don't take their equines to a facility and retrain them myself because I don't have that kind of money and privilege. I kind of go to them and talk to them on the phone, over Zoom, whatnot, in person, and kind of teach them the tools they need to do the training plan that I have set in place, which is a lot easier said than done because not everyone's like super on board with the kind of science of behaviour. The horse world is very traditional. They're very like punishment based, and that's not what I do. I'm more rewards based. Punishment's like not really acceptable, or it's kind of last resort, emergencies only. So I do everything I can to keep positive and keep everyone safe and keep everyone just happy and positive. Horses happy, people happy, I'm happy. So that's what I do. I have a background in psychology, and the job like is more human behaviour change focused. It's about changing culture, changing the culture of the horse world, changing the culture of people that are working with the horses, and like it's very hard. Takes a lot of patience. I'm very patient with like the equines. Like there's really nothing an animal can do to bother me, but with the people it's a little bit more difficult sometimes. But yeah, that's what I do, and that's the kind of person I am. I work with lots of people that I disagree with, that maybe handle horses in ways that, you know, I really don't agree with, but I'm not judgmental. I know why they do it the way they do. I know where they come from because I come from like the same background. I learned to write, you know, with similar values and gradually unlearned them over the course of my life, and my horse is a big part of that. She taught me better ways because the traditional ways frankly didn't work and made her worse. So her and, you know, lots of, you know, human mentors that I've had as well have taught me a lot and helped me to change. And now, you know, I want to help other people do that in a non-judgmental way. So even though I might feel a bit fed up sometimes and lack a bit of patience, like for the most part I try to be super sound and very understanding, and you know, I just work with people where they're at. You know, I take the small wins the same way I do with horses. I take the small wins with people too. And it seems like an odd combination for me to be like writing dystopia, doing all this like booktube stuff, and then like doing equine behaviour, human behaviour change stuff in real life. But the book I'm writing, like I just pitched, it's about, you know, two people that have very opposing viewpoints and learn to have compassion for one another, get along, maybe eventually like change each other's minds and get on the same page, learn to have a dialogue about stuff that's like really fundamental to like their personality and their value system and their worldview. You'd think people that disagree so wildly could just never get along, but my book is kind of about how those two people do manage to find some sort of way forwards. And I feel like that's a big part of my job in equine behaviour, is working with people that I disagree with and finding a way forwards together, and finding out that like we both have the same goals. Like we both want the best for our horses, we both want, you know, to solve this behaviour problem. We just disagree about how to do that, and by working together we can do that in a way that like doesn't cause harm, that actually makes things better. So, you know, seems random but they come together quite nicely. Next question, because I've spent a long time on the first two and there's like 10 more. I'm going to try and speed it up. What do you usually write? Just that book. Like, I've been working on it for so long. I did scrap it and start again like a year and a bit ago. Actually, nearly 2 years ago now. Shit. Fuck. It's going so slowly. This year's not been very productive. If you've seen any of my quarter updates, you'll see it's not been a productive year. But yeah, that's what I'm usually writing. Might start doing like some writing prompts things and like doing it as a YouTube video, like let's write a writing prompt together. That might be fun. But you know, I do have lots of other writing ideas. There's like a sitcom that me and my partner want to write. There's another book. There's the other two books in the series of this one that I'm writing. There's like 2 or 3 other just random non-dystopian, more contemporary literary style ideas that I have. Not going to discuss them right now, but I've not written them yet. So basically what I usually write is just this one book over and over. Question 4 is, what would you never write? I don't think there's anything I would never write, but there's plenty of things I don't have the skill to write. Like a high fantasy, I'm not going to write a high fantasy. If I write fantasy, it's going to be very light. The world building aspect of this dystopian novel that I'm writing is the hardest part. Like there's so many things. There's so many like street names and like the name of this centre for things. Try to be vague because I don't want to spoil it. But like I was just did a review of what I've done so far and I was like, this is shit. Like this is a shit name. So yeah, they're kind of placeholder names. Once I've written the first draft, I'll figure out some better names, I think. But yeah, world building, not my strong point, so a high fantasy Lord of the Rings style thing isn't what I'd write. But I wouldn't say never. Like I might try it, but I probably wouldn't write like a 1,000-page epic fantasy. I could write something akin to like ACOTAR, maybe like a bit more light fantasy, where, you know, there can be some errors and no one's going to dig into it. Like if it has a language, if it has Dothraki or Valyrian or Elvish, I'm not writing that shit. I can't do languages. So that's something I'll never write because I'm not talented enough, frankly. Question 5, what's your AuthorTube goal? To find readers that might be interested in the book I'm writing, honestly. This is fun, like it's a hobby, and I think it's good for mastering my skills at maybe promoting my book, speaking on camera, speaking to people, etc. And I'm getting better, still not amazing, not great, not really getting anywhere with the whole getting subscribers thing, but the goal is to find readers that might enjoy my book, not in a sellout, buy my book kind of way. I mean, we're not anywhere near that point yet, but that is the overall goal. Connect with other writers too, you know, people that are in the same kind of place as I am, people that are writing their first book, looking to get it published, maybe struggling to get the motivation to write, struggling with their busy lives, struggling to then find an agent and a publisher and all that jazz that I have to look forward to. So yeah, find like a community of peers and also people that would just be like, yeah, that book sounds sick, let me read it, thanks. That would be amazing. Question, whatever. What made you want to start writing? The book, this specific book, I never set out to be like an author or a writer. I just came up with an idea one day. I was watching a lecture. It was Dr. Phillips and Bardo talking about the Lucifer effect, which is a book he's written about the Stanford prison experiment, which he was the main researcher of. The whole premise of the Stanford prison experiment, the findings of it at least, and the Lucifer effect was that the Stanford prison experiment was like a really toxic environment. He took just normal, good people from their everyday lives, randomly assigned them as prisoners and prison guards, and then just saw what happened. And like what happened was way more horrifying than you would expect. Like the prison guards got really strict on the prisoners. They got really punishing because they were given the instruction to like maintain order, which was a very vague instruction, and things got really out of hand within like a few days. And he was even like wrapped up in this as like the prisoner superintendent instead of as the researcher, and he even let it go a little bit too far and then learned his lesson afterwards. So the Lucifer effect is about, you know, environments can make good people do evil things, which can kind of explain how people in the Holocaust, people that worked as prison guards in these prison camps exterminating people, would behave in this like abhorrent evil way and then go home to their families and be like kind to their dog. And they had this duality because of authority and because of the way everything was orchestrated. Like it just brings out the worst in people the same way the Stanford prison experiment did. So yeah, go find that lecture on YouTube if it sounds interesting. That's what I was watching when I came up with this idea of like this society based on an experiment, basically like a huge Stanford prison experiment, which kind of brings out the worst in people, thereby justifies itself, because it's all about making people better and everyone can look around and go, wow, everyone really sucks, so I guess this experiment is really necessary, huh? And that's the idea that I had, and I've created a whole plot and set of characters and a romance and a whole society based on that premise. So that's what got me into writing, and that's pretty much why that's the only thing I am writing, because it's the idea rather than like the act of writing itself that really propels me, and it's the idea that I'm really passionate about. But I do enjoy writing. It's just hard to sit down and do it sometimes, but once I'm in it, I'm like, oh yeah. Like once I start talking about these topics, I'm just like welcome to my TED Talk. So yeah, that's what made me start writing, to have somewhere to put all of this energy and passion. Next question, what's your publishing path? It's nothing right now. It's writing the first draft. I'm going to write the first draft. I've reviewed what I've done already, so I'll then do a round of edits, and then I might do another round of edits, and then I'll try and find an agent, and we'll try and go down the traditional publishing route. Depends, like if this channel like really took off and I got a following, like I could self-publish, but like I don't think that's going to happen based on like how it's going so far. So my plan is to traditionally publish, but I'm under no illusion that like that would increase my reach very much. So like authors these days, they pretty much have to do this kind of thing. They have to promote themselves, Because if you get like a 30k advance on your book from a big publisher, they're not going to advertise your book for you. They're barely going to advertise it. They just want to like make that money back, and they don't care. If you get like a 6 or 7 figure deal from a publisher though, yeah, best believe they'll advertise you because they want to make that money back. They aren't in profit until you've out earned your advance. That's when they start making a profit. So yeah, I guess that's why I'm here, is because like, who knows how this is going to go. I might have to self-publish, I might traditionally publish and get really small advance and get like no time and effort put into it, in which case like marketing myself is going to be very important. So I guess it's too early to say my publishing path, if it happens at all, but traditional is the goal at the moment, and it would be great to have a big deal. But again, they're probably not going to give you a 6 or 7 figure deal based on like the product or talent alone. Like if you're a YouTuber, like if you're Zoella, you can publish kind of whatever you want and they'll give you a big advance because they know that your followers will buy it. So it's very much a popularity game. It's not just about talent, especially if you're writing like genre fiction. A new adult dystopian would be very much like Silver Elite, Hunger Games, ACOTAR, in that kind of marketing bracket, like Fourth Wing. That's kind of new adult-ish. It's not super literary. It's not really in the same camp of like I Who Have Never Known Men, which is way more literary, maybe more of a niche audience, even though it's very popular. I guess what I'm saying is, even though I am trying to make it a bit literary and, you know, make it good, like I'm trying my best to make it really good, I think it is quite commercial what I'm writing. I think that's fair to say. I think it sort of treads the line between being really commercial and having a little bit more to it as well. Like literary themes, but with like more basic writing, because like I don't have the skill to write literary fiction, not full literary fiction. So it's like contemporary, but good, I hope. That's the aim. I'm rambling now, I have no idea where that question started, but that's where we've ended up. I'm just going to move on to the next question. What's your biggest struggle? Actually sitting down to write? I think that's like a big struggle for lots of people. I'm like very fatigued all the time. I'm reading like mad to do this channel and also spending a lot of time doing this channel. So that takes up a lot of time in which I'm not writing, which is partly why I've like barely written this year and is a bit of a problem, to be honest. So that's my biggest struggle. My best writing skill? I don't know. I think the themes are pretty good. I think the themes of the novel are good. Is the execution good? I don't know, it's not quite there yet. I think my biggest skill is like editing. Like editing what I've done so far, I'm tearing it to shreds, I've got the red pen out, I'm like, yes, we can move this around. I'm good at like plotting and being like, we need to construct this character arc, we need to construct this relationship arc so that they, you know, like their relationship is growing and their character is growing. Like it's very well mapped. I have a good plan, not just for the outline of the novel and the plot, but like all of the characters and kind of what their journey is, what their emotional journey is. So I think that's my strength. And also I quite like to think that dialogue is a strength, just because I'm quite good at, I basically like hit play and then the scene rolls in my head and I just improv the whole thing and it comes out like pretty good as a first draft, if I do say so myself. But I also think like a lot of the dialogue could be kind of corny, and maybe because I'm just improving it as the characters in my head, like it's not always true to where their emotions need to be. Like sometimes they will take me in a different direction. So then when I'm editing, I'm like, I don't think she knows that about him yet. Like I know it, but you know, that's not quite right for where they are in the arc, or they've gotten a bit too familiar too quickly there. I need to rein that back in. So yeah, it does require some editing, but I think I'm quite good at just what I come up with in the moment is like generally quite good dialogue. Maybe because I've done like acting and improv, like that's just what I'm good at. But then I'll do it and I'll be like, oh, that was so good, and then I might get attached to it and then I might not want to edit it out, which could be a problem. But it could be worse. Maybe, we'll see when it publishes. Maybe people will go, oh, the dialogue was awful, and I'll just be like, okay, I guess we're just all awful then. Next question, best AuthorTube tip. I don't think I'm going to answer this one. I don't have any. I mean, like, I've been doing YouTube for a year and I'm not getting a lot of views and subscribers, so I don't know. Give me tips, honestly. Like, give them to me. Yeah. I think just keep going. Like, just keep going, even if you're not getting any views, even if you're not getting any subscribers. Look at why that is. Try to make your thumbnails better. Try to make your content better. Try to get that curiosity gap within the thumbnail and the title. That's something I'm still working on, but it's something I have been trying to step up recently, and it's been paying off a little bit. Like, I've had like 60 views instead of 6, so that's good. We're getting somewhere. And I do think, you know, it's taken a year for me to like learn a bit more, and I've still got loads to learn, but like, it has taken the year. Like, I was never going to come in fresh with these skills. Like, you learn by doing. So I guess my tip would just be start, and like, don't be disheartened. And I say that as someone that's reaching the 1-year anniversary of this channel, and like, honestly, I do feel quite disheartened, and that's sad. But will I quit? No. Like, I am going to keep going, because like, nothing's going to happen if I quit. I might relax things so that I can get more writing done, because that's like more important, really. Like, that I have that done, like, that's more important to me. But this is important to me as well. So yeah, I'm going to keep going, and if you're in the same boat as me, like, you keep going as well, even though it's hard, because there's people that out there that probably really would love your book that you've written, and they're not going to know it exists if you don't promote it. So like, get over that icky feeling about promotion and just get on social media and promote, because it's your dream. So do it, give it a really good chance, and if you still fail, at least you tried. And the final question is, what are you most excited for on your new fresh start on AuthorTube? I don't know. I don't feel that excited, because I don't feel like this past year has even gone that well, like I just said. But I guess what I am excited for is the day when I can finally come on here and say, I finished my first draft. That's what I'm excited about. So excited to come on and like have it be done. Like, have a full book in my hands that I can then probably tear to shreds and edit and rewrite and all of that stuff. But just to be like, I've climbed a mountain and I'm on top of it, and now I can come down the hill and go towards the next mountain, which is the publishing industry. But if I can just finish the first draft, honestly, I'll be pretty proud of myself for that, because I love the book. I've reread it recently, what I've written so far, and I was having a great time. Like, it's captured my attention, even though I've read it tens of times at this point. It's captured my attention more than a lot of the books on these shelves has, because I'm writing it for me, and there's lots of people with similar tastes to me, so I'm excited to write it for them and to find those readers and get the book to them, hopefully via this platform. That's what I'm excited for, and let's call me being excited for it manifestation, that will happen and be a reality. Okay, I think that's all the questions. That's all the questions that were on like the web page I looked at, but they missed out question 12 for some reason, so don't know what that question was. But yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you want to hear more about writing kind of content, what kind of writing content you'd want, given the fact like of just where I am in the process at the moment. I will talk about some of the writing advice books that I've read, but I'm not reading a lot of them at the moment. I think I'm going to finish the first draft, and then I'm going to be reading a ton of those books that I've saved up before I go into like the first proper edit, just to like brush up on all of the skills I'm going to need. So I'll probably do a lot more content around that once I've read those books. But anything else, just let me know, and subscribe to maybe one day like see me reach this goal of writing this book. And if you have an AuthorTube and you're writing a book, leave it in the comments and I'll follow you back, I'll subscribe, and you know, we help each other because this is a hard journey. And God knows the traditional publishers probably won't have our back without us having each other's back, if you know what I mean. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!